Well, good afternoon. Here we are in London and in Iceland, and we are absolutely delighted to have Sigurdur Arnason here joining us to talk about the big problem, why most music never leaves the bedroom, which in my case is very, very true. So Siggy, I'm really thrilled, and I will be calling you Siggy. Anybody who knows Sigurdur knows he's known as Siggy. He's quite a figure on the circuits. He's quite a figure in Iceland. He's a brilliant piano player and he does amazing things. But we'll be hearing all of that in a moment. First, I'd like to just point out that we can only do these programs thanks to the generosity and, as I often say, tolerance of our sponsors, who allow us to range widely and freely across science and technology and economics and finance. As you're well aware, you can't do anything these days without raising AI, but this is a particularly interesting webinar where we're going to be looking at how AI might be solving a problem we all suffered from as teenagers. Anyway, you know that the situation out there is one where one of the difficulties has been moving from AI being a little bit of a chatterbot into when is it going to start doing something practical. But what I think is exciting about today's webinar is something practical we've all actually wanted to do and would genuinely appreciate. Now, Siggy's company was founded in 2021. He's going through a Series A round, and OverTune, as it's called, is really a music creation platform for you. That's what it's all about. So we'll move along a little bit here and show you the agenda, which is the usual agenda for these sessions, which is I try and get out of the way so you can speak directly to our guests as much as possible. We'll have a discussion. Siggy and I have got a lot of things to chat about. But most importantly, unlike many other webinars, this is your opportunity to ask questions, make comments, make suggestions, whatever you wish. And so to do that, you use the chat room, and I will work through that with Lucas, who's in the background, to ask these questions to Siggy in the last 15 minutes. So that's kind of the way that we'll be going. So let's move on to the discussion. Siggy, wonderful to have you, and I wish I was up there in Iceland with you. We saw each other last year and the year before, and your wife gave me that beautiful puffin paperweight, which adorns my desk at home. Tell us a little bit about your background. How did you get into music?
Well, I played piano since I was 4 or something, and I've been playing it ever since. I was a professional musician for about 8 years. And now I run a music creation company out of Iceland. So music is very much at my heart, I guess.
And what was your sort of favorite genre?
I mean, as of recent, I am a jazz pianist, but what I do listen to and also play is basically pop music, popular music, something that's like something that's influencing culture. But I listen to. I mean, I'm originally classically trained, but as of late, I'm into jazz.
And what gave you the original idea for OverTune?
Well, this is Iceland. It's we have less hero stories here, like founder stories of people having ideas. It's like an ensemble of people coming together to solve something. And like the problem at hand is that I used to, when I was playing professionally, I was a singer in this electronic music group, and I'm more of a singer-songwriter myself. I mean, I play the piano, but I don't have the technical expertise to use like something called digital audio workstations, like Ableton or Logic or whatever, where you basically put the music on the screen. So I always had to have like a music producer with me to do that, and not many people that have those skills to be a music producer. It's like 10% of all people that have some musical interest. The other 90% kind of often give up or can't really at least put the music in practice without having to play the instruments like you are like showing there. So the incentive is to get the market something for the other 90% that have not been represented.
Okay. And we just moved off the slide there where you were looking like Ernst Stavro Blofeld from from the James Bond films, stroking his white cat. Uh, tell us a little bit about you and cats.
Yeah, we actually prepared this question, and I don't want to go off the rails and talk about my love for cats, but I do love them. And the picture is my cat Squeak. I have two cats at home, and I think to keep it less personal, because then you just go off the rails. I mean, I have cat cups at home. I have cat T-shirts, and I'm a full-on cat man. But let's maybe save that for another webinar.
Okay, so it's not because you think they make great music.
Cats. Well, cats always win the internet, and we have a lot of cat beatbox on OverTune because they're fun and they are awesome. But cat themselves, no, I don't know any cat that makes music.
Okay. Well, if I was doing this webinar from home, the background wouldn't look too far from the picture that we see in front of us here, which is a few guitars, an electric piano. My home is littered with my attempts and my family's attempts to do music, but it is stuck in the bedroom, So how would I use OverTune as somebody who is clearly interested, has bought a fair chunk of equipment, finds the piano okay, but the guitar I really struggle with the keyboard, sorry, with the frets and the whole thing. What would I do? What would OverTune do for me?
Well, you have the luxury to have instruments in your home, and perhaps you can play some chords, or you can maybe, I don't know, maybe sketch your ideas somewhat on instruments. But most people that have like melody ideas or like a creative idea, the creative idea, just want to capture it on the spot. And like 99% of those people have something called voice memo on your phone. So they using it or like say the idea, but often fun ends there. There is no way for them to sketch those ideas as demos and get it on paper as fast as possible, like you would do as an example with like videos or like images. You are not doing videography when you are shooting a video on your phone. You're just making content, and that's something similar, like similar ideology with OverTune, and now you're showing it. So the take on music creation that we do is more like CapCut for music. You can sketch out the ideas. What you're showing is that we have a beat pack system. We allow you to build up your song through beats. So we give you, let's say, those Lego bricks where you can build your like musical Lego custom, and abstractify the music creation process. You can add vocals on top and create something that can be done quite quickly. And to do that, you don't have to have any like technical expertise. You don't have to know plugins or third-party software or have any hardware. It's just all done quite intuitively.
I mean, it is amazing. It's the ability to lay down a variety of tracks, synthesis, different lines. It's phenomenal stuff. What's the output quality like?
Well, we have designed the beat packs and abstractified the music creation process in a way that the output is always high quality. But the question is, often people want to tweak things around, I mean, with a music producer or like whatever, in which case you can export the stems and work it further. But the minimum output of the platform is always high quality. At least it always sounds good, but if it can be used commercially, like is every video on your phone going to become viral on social media? I don't know, but at least you have it on your phone to play around.
So I can basically produce, studio quality audio on your website in my bedroom.
Or on the bus, or at your office, or out on the street, or wherever, yeah.
Well, I don't know. We work at an office where one of the guys in charge is really not good at that sort of stuff. That's me anyway. Right. So what have been some of the things, people, that you've created a wonderful tool, and we'll come on to the AI in a minute. But what are some of the wonderful things people have done with it.
Well, as an example, we had this content creator called Olivia King, made an OverTune song, posted it on TikTok, got like tens of millions of hits with an OverTune beat that we rebranded in her name. So let's call her a content creator / musician. It's like playing on both fields, trying to like be more into music, but maybe not a musician that would be traditionally signed by any music label, but still get some traction for like content. So that was quite fun. That's one example.
And have you had any famous names kind of come in and endorse it?
No. I mean,
No.
no. I mean, this is very much a consumer service for content creators. You see, often with like music industry products, you have a lot of those superstars saying this is a great product or whatever, but we have more in the line of CapCut or Snapchat or like developer tools that allow you to create content. And often that doesn't need any celebrity marketing. The product speaks for itself. You wouldn't, as an example, use the Kim Kardashian Snapchat filter, you know, you just have the dog filter or like whatever. And so similarly with us, we have never worked with any music label. I mean, we have investors from those music labels involved in OverTune, but we are very much out of this music industry system. It's like saying, like YouTube pitching to Paramount and Paramount saying, how are you going to get George Clooney or whoever to be actors to create YouTube videos on the small screen? It's like something similar. It's very much more organic.
And in terms of like, let's imagine that I've got a tune buzzing around in my head at the moment, or I want to recreate maybe a traditional tune. How long would it take me to produce something?
Few minutes up to an hour. Just like how much time does it take you to edit content with developer tools? I mean, you can play around it with your creativity endlessly, but to put it on paper and start working on it instantly.
Okay, so pretty quick, in other words. Now this is a picture of which I have in my home, which I picked up in 1980, Rock in Reykjavik, and for the keen-eyed among you, that is actually Bjork. Rock in Reykjavik was a composite film put together, and I think Bjork is about 12 there, singing her heart out for rock and roll. So I'm pleased to have this collector's item. But of course, it didn't end with Bjork, did it? You know, we've got of Monsters and Men, which I adore, Sigur Rós, Agent Fresco, Skalmuld, Sugar Cubes. You know, the impact of Iceland is possibly only second to that of Ireland in terms of small islands that seem to dominate the musical world. Firstly, any ideas, insights into why Iceland is so musically talented?
No, I mean, we are covered by mountains and we don't have many things to do. And you have been here and you know that you are almost like reminded of your mortality being here because it's so epic. And as an example, Sigur Rós is a really good example of that. It's very much Icelandic, you know, quote unquote. And when you build this environment of that being warm, of course, that's just like kind of, you know, becomes the culture kind of. And the culture rewards it. We have music festivals and we have a lot of things here happening with music. One of the few things that are actually happening here are kind of musical events. So I think it's a combination of the literal nature and us being stuck on an island, like north and a tiny rock in the North Atlantic Sea. That's one. And the other thing is that it's just been, you know, happening in culture for decades and decades.
Do you think there's any connection with the sort of culture of sagas?
I mean, you are asking if the elves have somehow something to do with it. Maybe. I mean, you have to ask the elves. I don't know. I mean, there's rich, very rich folklore in Iceland, and but as of recent, Sigur Rós, and we call those bands cute bands or krút, which is like post-shoegaze post-shoegaze. The Moom is one of those bands. Sibir is another. Sigurður is the most famous. That very much through one Icelandic folklore and the Icelandic nature of like those bands. But as of late, I have not seen that in music. We are very hip hop dominated. We take much of our cultural influence from the United States. We were occupied by the American Army for decades. So as of late, no. But there was a huge uprise in the early 2000s, for sure.
Well, I can vouch, one, for your abilities, because I've heard you play on a few occasions, been lucky enough. But I think the second thing was just even the kind of culture that, you remember last year we were in a restaurant and there was a piano and nobody has any problem getting up and playing the piano, and there's a piano in another restaurant that's free to use. So it was a very open culture of music there, which certainly struck me as something I truly enjoyed. So that was there. So anyway, we've now got a fantastic system that is very easy to use, that people all over the world are using. Could you tell us a little bit about the artificial intelligence aspects of it? What's going on here? What makes it AI? Or is this just a badge to make people happy because AI has to be in everything these days?
I would never call OverTune an AI platform. I would call it a music creation platform. AI is awesome, awesome technology, and it can be used for good. And we are using it more on the background, like in stemming down stems and assisting you to make content, but we don't call it AI for sure. We're just opportunistic when good technology comes about. I mean, AI, like the hype, has kind of dominated all tech discussion for some time now. And it's interesting, I mean, especially in music creation. You see those generative AI music creation companies that get some headlines because you just push a button and a song comes out. But you can impose questions if that is really the nature of music creation. As in, it's not in every time about the finished product. It's about the creative process. So I don't know. I mean, this is a black hole to go into, like AI in music creation. But I have famously thought that a few people within the space have shown arrogant behavior by saying music making sucks and no one like making music, and that's why we should take the shortcut. So I am always get a little bit skeptical when people say we are an AI company. Like I will be saying we are an internet company. We have a school website and everyone can approach it. That's why we're an internet company, but it gets me a little bit skeptical.
Well, that's a very practical answer, and I quite like it. In some ways, it's just any complicated computer system is arguably AI. I frequently say that about, for example, Google Maps, which is almost 25 years old, I think, and it just does what it does. And you're kind of, I don't know how to do it, but that's good enough. Now, just a reminder to those of you online, there are quite a few of you there, do pop your questions in the chat room because I don't want to dominate this, but I do have a few more. We picked apparently a very good week to have this. We scheduled this some weeks ago, but then in the last week, we've had an amazing announcement that you are working, with your existing sequencer tech to create music and perform it to a virtual audience, but you've struck a deal which you announced on Roblox for a virtual music studio. And I'll just give a quote from Roblox itself. Its head of music partnerships, Jessica Meehan, said, "It gives our community the tools to make music together in a fun, accessible way, and we can't wait to hear the incredible tracks that come from it." There was a couple of comparisons here with Splash, which started as a music making app and pivoted into a popular Roblox music creation game as well. So it's an amazing announcement. What an endorsement. Very thrilled for it. Would you like to comment a little bit further on it and how you're expecting it to be used within the Roblox environment?
Yeah, I mean, we got one hell of a pitch from the Roblox team that they are the future of music, of like content creation, and they have a very interesting user base. It's now at 151 million active users, daily active users, and to be spearheaded into that is like, from my understanding, the most ambitious music tech project in the history of the platform. And since we are in the middle of editability, we are like CapCut or Canva for music, so people can fuel their creativity and making music, as opposed to having like a karaoke platform that's very that's used a lot, or like Ableton, or like generative AI music platforms. So we stand in the middle. So I think this might be a special moment in time for sure for music content creation. It's like the like I told you before, I mean, just the daily active user base is like a Super Bowl viewership plus 20 million people. So it's quite mass, and they're quite active, those people. That's why I commented on it publicly, and I said the same thing again. I'm extremely excited.
Well, the excitement for me is so much of the metaverse type environments. Roblox gives you this ability to create a virtual environment. They've been horrifically visual. It's all about visuals and artistic techniques, etc. And I can just see here people creating entire musical universes. Where the music is far more important than the visuals in terms of cues, psychogeography. I mean, amazing opportunities here. Can you describe some of your excitement about this?
About the Roblox deal?
About people using OverTune within Roblox.
Yeah, I mean, this has never been done before, and this opens up commercial opportunities that have never been done before. And you have those people that are basically redefining culture. I mean, they're redefining music. Those kids are talking about brain rock music. It's all very Roblox music. So it's just like traditional music. It's just like traditional music meets, TikTok taking it like, putting it to 11, in this content creator, like, and I just can't see what they do with it, basically. So I have a very talented technical team that took our musical sequencer technology and basically reprogrammed the audio engine within Roblox Studio. So the OverTune team is also like just finding the capabilities within Roblox Studio as well. So from a technical standpoint, this is just like it is interesting and exciting from so many avenues. But of course, seeing those mass of people being funneled into the OverTune ecosystem is like a dream for every startup at this stage, who raise millions in dollars to spend on marketing, as opposed to doing something like this. So I don't know where to pinpoint where I'm most excited, but it's from a lot of angles.
Now, you point out very much on the website that you're not imposing any royalties or anything on this, or any intellectual property rights. So if I go and use OverTune to produce a piece of music and all that, what should I be doing from there on my property rights? Or do you believe that even I should be distributing it freely?
From my standpoint, this is like business 101, right? So do not try to stifle the user on anything. And unfortunately, in this music industry, you have to like put out that this is royalty free, which means that we give you non-exclusive distribution license, which basically means you create content and you can do whatever you want with the content. You own the beat packs, you just make something, you buy access to a service, and we make sure that you can use the service as well as possible. And a huge part of that is just knowing, not thinking about what can you do with the content. You're just creating content. You can send it to your friend, you can put it on Spotify, you can put it on TikTok, you can keep it in your phone or just like whatever. And I think that's where music industry or the music tech companies often get a little bit confused. You know, they want to take part of the royalties, they want to take like 20% of publishing so they can potentially get some money in if an artist strikes big. For us, it's just marketing. You know, if someone strikes big because of OverTune, it's like free marketing budget. It gets people in to buy access to the platform. We are very satisfied with the premium model that we have in place. We are not trying to skim off like a few cents out of songs that might or might not be popular outside of the OverTune platform.
Okay. What's the reaction been like from the music industry? Has anybody reacted? Have they just ignored it? Or have you had people say, you know, we're up against you? Or have you had people say this is the best thing, they just want to help you?
Well, after we announced Roblox, I'm the most popular girl at the ball with the music industry. You know, we are on because we are not designing our business model out of licensing, you know, as an example, licensing beats from Sony or Warner or Universal or whoever, then of course it just people have had within the music industry, they of course like us because we have awesome technology, but from a business perspective, they are not calling me every day because they know that we are not in the licensing business. But with the Roblox, of course, with the mass of people and the way that we intend to like tweak the revenue model, then I have been quite busy for the past few days since we announced, so to be announced.
Yeah, I think it can sometimes be very difficult for people to understand, you know, the scale of this environment. I was reading about Roblox, and I think the last numbers they claimed were over 110 million people access Roblox every single day to get in there and do things. I mean, these are genuine environments that are, you know, pulling people together. Part, arguably, maybe of this AI separation as people pour their hearts out to their AIs rather than their friends and spend their time in the sort of things that Zuckerberg was talking about as metaverse a few years ago. I mean, do you feel that this is going to help people connect more with other people, or do you feel it's irrelevant to that argument?
What I think is irrelevant is taking AI into it, because AI, we are in a bubble, and it's called the AI. When you go on LinkedIn, you see the confirmation bias with investors or people in the space. You see everyone is patting each other on the back. Like, AI is awesome, we did this with AI, but you go out in the real world with real people, and there's a lot of pushback on AI. There was this company that had like AI friend or something, like something that gave you messages or something, and they had like this billboard campaign on like New York subway system, and it got so much vandalism, and people do surveillance capitalism and you know, F AI, and when people see AI, they just, you know, get the shivers and they don't want to use it. So I think AI is the antithesis. I mean, just the current status of how people perceive AI is very much a no-no, and that's not connecting people together. People think it's actually alienating people. With this roboting, I mean, definitely it's the biggest party on the planet currently of people just coming together and make stuff and have fun together. And I certainly hope that OverTune will do well on Roblox. I mean, we are not a gaming company, so this is the first time for us as well. So we have many boundaries. So I certainly hope, I mean, it looks fantastic like for now, but this has not been tried and tested. So it's a very ambitious project.
Have you seen pickup outside Iceland in particular countries really going for OverTune as opposed to everywhere?
It's mostly US.
Sorry?
It's mostly the United States.
Is it? Interesting. And you know, so many technologies these days have been turned to abuses, whether it's the internet or AIs doing fake news, you know, graphic imageries that shouldn't be shown, and all this. Have people tried to abuse your platform, and if so, how? I'm afraid I can't see how, but maybe you can share with us some stories.
No, not really. Nothing to comment on. We don't really monitor what type of content people make. We
Hmm.
don't concern ourselves with what happens after the content is created on the platform. We just want to give one hell of a good content creation service without hosting the content and without having the moderation. We actually did that first, and it's a lot of work, and it's like hard to scale. So similarly to CapCut or not CapCut, maybe Canva, all those platforms that just offer you editable software to make visual content, and we do the same thing with music. Um, but it's not often the technology that harms people; it's people that harm other people. Cats don't often harm other people, just unless they have claws. So it's mostly people utilizing technology to do bad things, and uh, and it's always people problem and not technology problem. So, but I no example that I can think of.
I knew we'd get back to cats. Okay. Well, it's 1/2 past. I have one quick question for you, and I do mean quick, before, although it sounds big. Before we get on to some of the questions people are asking here, just quickly, you've been presenting to a lot of finance people. You're in that interesting, sensitive period of Series A, so I don't want to push you on it. But what's the most frequent question that people in finance ask you?
I mainly just meet people in finance. I mean, it's talking about VC capitalists.
Yeah.
That's what are your current metrics and how are you intending to scale this thing? That's the
Mhm.
that's the thing. I mean, you have something at hand. How can you scale as much as possible?
Mhm.
And why are you taking in the money? But as it turns out, people in finance, that's in venture capital, angel investors, and VC capital are just people as well. So I
Okay.
it's it's startup people mostly that I meet.
Well, let's turn to the audience here. So please, folks, do keep questions coming in. We've got a few here now. So the first one's from Hugh Purser, a regular viewer slash listener to FS Club. Hugh says, I am new to music creation platforms, but my question for Siggy is, do you know of any OverTune users who have had success in their own music career, aside from folks just having fun? Has OverTune help them move into the industry, or has a tune that they've created on Overtune been a
Yeah,
commercial?
yeah. I think Olivia King, just to comment on her again, was on TikTok, had some decent following, used Overtune and grew significantly. So I
Hmm.
would answer that way.
Second question from Trevor Hilder. Uh, Trevor points out that Second Life used to have a thriving music scene back about 2007, quite a
Cool.
while back. And you just struck this wonderful deal with Roblox, which is great. But why do metaverses seem to do wonderful things and then go quiet again? Any comments on that?
Yeah, I think Roblox is not metaverse. Roblox is just insanity of people coming together with this like special culture. I felt that metaverse, like Second Life did very well, but metaverse was a hype. Like arguably AI is a hype, you know. And I've seen metaverse coming in and out since I was a kid, and we are fascinated by like escaping like 100% into another reality.
Mhm.
Um, I don't have a clear answer for that other than many of those metaverse like or Web3 or whatever you want to call it, um, honed on the technology and not on the use case. And that's the same thing with like often with like blockchain or NFTs or like whatever those tech types that come. People do focus on the technology, but they don't focus on some special type of user experience or a problem. So that might be it. And but I don't know how to go further with the answer.
Well, that oddly has prompted a question from our very own Lucas Dvorak, hanging out in the back here. Lucas is curious, how would you describe the music production process from Overtune to an inexperienced user using it as compared to other AI music production platforms, who like would be using perhaps verbal prompts or anything? Just what distinguishes your interaction from some of the other ones out there?
Generative AI music platforms, they use something called text-to-music. You write on a text and music comes out. You can't edit it, and you have no input into it. You have no control over the content. OverTune is Canva or CapCut for music, which abstractifies music creation, but you still very much are in control of your own fantasy of the end result. And I think that would be the main difference.
Funny, but back to Hugh Purser for a moment, and related to the question I asked you earlier about take up. You said the United States was the big area where it's being taken up, and yet he was just sort of curious culturally. He says, I would imagine this could be a big interest in Japan. I guess he was referring to the origins of karaoke. Any ideas? Is there just maybe a language barrier here?
We have no access into Asia. Culture of different. He is right. Just help me crack that. He's right. Maybe language, maybe something. We don't have the distribution. It's can be many reasons.
Right. Okay. Drini and Shane has an interesting question. You're clearly using stuff that is currently at the limits of what's possible. Where do you see the use of technology in music production going over the next 5 to 10 years?
Hopefully in a way to democratize the whole process by creating tools that allow the everyday person to create content. I mean, there are a lot of those digital audio workstations designed for music producers, but there hasn't really been a surface that catches on that can be described as Canva or CapCut for music. And I see a plethora of those tools come about, but there is a reality where it goes totally on the left. You see a lot of those generative AI music creation companies, and that just takes over with a push of a button, and everyone loses. Let's see.
There's been a lot of talk about the addictive capabilities or the ability to create addictions that AIs have, and a lot of fear actually about the gamification of online shopping. The Economist had a piece on this a month or two ago that it's almost mesmerizing, some of the gamification that goes on. It's reinforcing effectively a lot of addictive type habits from the gaming sector to make you keep pressing the buttons. It's just that you're shopping instead of gambling. I guess you could, if you're very lucky, you could wind up with a whole bunch of cat videos. Oh, sorry, at home that you've bought. So there's a comment here, great work. I think the technology to generate the music is brilliant, but the question is, given that music has a profound psychological impact upon us as human beings, what are your thoughts on the AI ending in a feedback loop that continually generates music that appeals to the most amounts of people? I mean, we are seeing some of this on Spotify and others being, spammed effectively with AI, or being used to influence spending patterns, for example. What are your thoughts on this?
That's one hell of a question. I don't know where to start with the answer of that. Look, first, music is the language of emotions. So I find it very unlikely that some AI will crack it, learn our spending habits, and create music to somehow enforce the spending habits, just the computer. I mean, I don't see it. But if the question is how music can reflect spending habits and how you can influence spending habits with music, well beyond advertising. Yeah. So the only thing, for some reason, because it's like a curveball of a question, it's so many things that I have to think about. Like if you would had listen to music from Arcade Fire or something in the early 2000s, you could maybe have predicted the weekend type of flow that happened 10 years later. So music is often first with opinions, but it's people having opinions. So if you listen to music, you can maybe determine what's coming up and how big corporations should adapt to. But if people are worried about gamification of spending on the internet. Just welcome to capitalism. They try to take your money as much as possible, and this is one way. You just have to be aware that that's the case.
And a couple more questions just before we close, because we're running short, but this has been absolutely fascinating. One could argue that the great period of classical music, blah, 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 we've got Bach and Beethoven and Haydn and, the whole thing. But in your view, if OverTune had existed, say, 400 years ago, what would be different about music today?
We would have a lot more music. We would have a lot more commentary in a musical format of what was happening, because music had always been a gatekept type of a thing, right? And especially in those days, you wouldn't listen to recording music. You would have to go to a music hall maybe once in your life to hear your favorite music, So it's ideas that are gatekept, and music more often than not are the streamlining of ideas. So you would maybe capture some other ideas than just like, I don't know, Wagner or more like dominating ideas. So you would have more. Would you have more quality? Would you have more Haydn, some more Mozart, some more whatever? I would say no. You can't just give someone a pencil and that one becomes a painter. You can't just like give someone a tool set and then suddenly it becomes something. But surely we would have more quality. I don't know.
Well, let me ask a related question, and I'm going to come to a final question from Nikki Holzhausen. My question is, if you could go back in time and hand OverTune to one musician, who would you give it to?
Miles Davis.
Sorry?
Miles Davis.
Very good. Okay.
Do you know why I would hand it to Miles Davis? He was on an interview with 60 Minutes once, and like he was asked, you are now this legendary jazz musician, and like he said, jazz, I don't like that word jazz. It's social music.
Now,
and he just kept innovating. He just kept innovating music. What he would do with OverTune, he went from cool jazz to fusion jazz to whatever progressive jazz.
I have to tell everybody in the audience, this was not planned, but I wanted to wear a music tie today, and I wore my Miles Davis tie.
That's good, man.
What a coincidence. Seriously.
Yeah,
right. Well, final question, if I could, if you don't mind. This is from Nikki Holzhausen. Thank you for the most interesting initiative and interview. Where do you perceive the music style may develop over the coming decade?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Where do you perceive the music style may develop over the coming decade?
The main musical style becoming dominant in the next decade, as in a genre or a style? Is that the question?
How do you think it might develop now that we've got all this tech?
Again, hopefully it will be democratized. So people will always go to the movies. We will always have movie studios and actors, right? But there is this set of and we have Netflix, that's like long form content, like professionally made that people watch, right? But there is a subset. It's becoming dominant in video consumption, which is TikTok, YouTube, Reels, whatever, that's short from video content. It's just different. It's shorter. It's more short. It's like more on the spot. That doesn't exist for music. So we are always going to listen to music, in my opinion. There are always going to be music labels and artists and things like that. But what is missing for this whole consumption experience is everything else. It is this mass consumption of people that can just make something on the spot and put it out there. So I certainly hope that would be the case for the next 10 years.
Okay. Well, folks, you've heard it from Sigurdur Arnason, CEO and founder of OverTune, a fantastic system going on Series A fundraising. So keep an eye on this amazing announcement with Roblox just this week. So you heard it all here. What will you hear in the future is probably what you're asking, and I'll just turn briefly to a few things. Next Wednesday here in London, we have one of our rarer physical events, How Quantum is Set to Revolutionize Investing at Northeastern University. That's right down by St. Catherine's Dock. Go to the website and book a ticket. Afraid we do have to ticket those ones. Then we're going to have the Smart Centers Index launch just before the end of the month on the 27th. And on the 3rd of December, a really fascinating debate on will AI enhance or replace human skills in the future workplace. So as ever, lots coming up on FS Club, but we were delighted today to have this alternative view of a new technology that could really change things. Once again, thanks to our sponsors for their tolerance, for their wide-ranging interests, but most of all, thank you, Siggy, for coming in from Iceland and sharing with us an amazing story. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.